My mother, whenever she's out, she strikes up conversations with everybody, anybody, whether she's met them or not, knows them or not, doesn't matter what they look like. My mother talks to people. And she'll know everything about a person in 15 minutes. Everything. Because she asks she's out, she strikes up conversations with everybody, anybody, whether she's very personal questions. Now, I'll tell you what really is interesting when I take her to a restaurant. That is something you need to experience. Because we go in a restaurant, and as we're being led to the table, my mother is saying stuff to everybody at these other tables who she does not know. Hey, how you doing? I hope you're enjoying yourself. Hey, that looks good. She'll just talk to people. And last time, she does this all the time, by the way. She stopped at a table, and she said, what are you eating? She said, are you here for some special occasion, or are you just going out to eat? The person said, I'm here for my birthday. She said, your birthday? How old are you? How old?
47.
47. Stand up. Stand up. She pulls up his glass and his spoon and bangs on it, gets everybody's attention and says, what's your first name?
Don.
Don is 47 today. Let's sing him happy birthday. Everybody's singing. Hey, sing! All right, so at the end of all this, she said, Don, sit down. Come on, what are you standing up for? She says, Don, introduce me to the woman you're with. You're?
Eileen.
Eileen. Hi, Eileen. Nice meeting you. Don, something was bothering me, and I wonder if you or Eileen can clarify this for me. Don, I noticed you had a wedding ring on, and Eileen, you didn't. Would one of you like to explain that to me? I've got time.
No, I only date married women.
So we eventually, and it's me saying, Mom, come on, I'm hungry. So we sit down, we order our meal, we're eating our appetizer, we get our main entree, and another couple gets seated next to us. We're on our entree now. My mother hears the person at this other table asking the waiter about certain items on the menu. And one of the items happened to be veal scallopini. And she said, excuse me, sir, were you just asking about the veal scallopini? It's good. It's good. I ordered it. It's good. Not as good as I make it at home, but it's good. I want you to have a good time tonight. Here, taste mine, make sure you like it. And she makes the guy eat it off of her fork. Off of her fork. Oh, yeah. What, do you think I have germs? Eat it! By the way, if you were in that restaurant and my mother carried on a conversation like one of these, how many of you would have enjoyed it? Can I see your hands? All right, that's either Italians or socializers. How many would feel uncomfortable with what my mother was doing? Can I see your hands? Many more. That's interesting. Fact of the matter is, my mother doesn't care. She's going to come up to your table whether you like it or not. Point is, my mother, and I think this is a very crucial point, my mother loves people. She really does. She is incredibly outgoing, as you could tell, and she really believes that the way she acts with people is out of love. She is not trying, it's not even in her frame of reference that she would make somebody feel uncomfortable. She's thinking she's making people feel comfortable. But what she's doing is treating people according to the golden rule. She's treating people the way she would like to be treated, not realizing that in her desire to make people feel comfortable, she actually is having the opposite effect on many people and making them feel stressed and uncomfortable. So, let's go to the next style. Relators. Where are my relators? Relators. Their key desire, harmony, safety, security, close one-to-one relationships. Of all four styles, relators are the most people-oriented. Loyal, reliable team members, the glue that holds a team or a relationship together. I'll tell you this, you show me a marriage where one of the people is a relator, and I will show you a long marriage. Not necessarily happy, but long. They are incredibly loyal people. They do not like to rock the boat. They do not like pushy, aggressive people. So they have a tendency at times to go along with things even when they don't want to, because they don't want to speak up and, you know, sort of rock the boat. Little things hurt their feelings. Now, they won't always tell you. They won't always show you. But when you hurt their feelings a little and you get out of their sight, you know, they pull out their little book. They turn to the page with your name on it and add another check mark. Yeah. Thinkers. Where are my thinkers? Thinkers. Their key desire, order, accuracy, precision, perfection. Their motto, everything in its place and a place for everything. Their patron saint, Sergeant Joe Friday from Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. They're the great planners, problem solvers, organizers. They're great at creating systems. They're highly inventive people. And of all four styles, they're the most intellectual. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Einstein, thinkers. So I'll tell you this, without a doubt, without a hesitation. You want something done right, give it to a thinker. But if you want it done on time, think again. Thinkers procrastinate getting finished until it's perfect. Four basic styles, ladies and gentlemen. Directors, thinkers, relators, socializers. They do things differently. They have their unique strengths and weaknesses. Now, I can take almost any activity and show you how each style will perform that activity ever so slightly different from the other three. Let's take an activity that all of us probably engage in every single month. The monthly checking account statement comes in. The day it comes in, who will balance it that day to the penny, no matter how long it takes? The thinker. The day it comes in, the director. They never have time. They look for somebody. Roxanne, I don't have the time, the patience for this. I notice you do yours every month. Would you do mine? I'll give you $20. 25 max. They try to delegate it to people. The day it comes in, the relator waits for that evening to balance it as a family bonding experience. Socializer, the day it comes in, they look at it. What is this? Throw it in a box, in a drawer. How can I be overdrawn? I still have checks left. Every style, as I said, every style has their inherent strengths and weaknesses. But here's an interesting perspective about weakness. Sometimes when you take a strength and use it too much, it actually can, in fact, become a weakness. I call it overextension of strengths. So, with directors, they tend to control too much. Their strength is taking control, taking the lead. But sometimes they over-control and turn people off. Thinkers, they question too much. And you start wondering, don't you trust me? You know, they get into all these minute questions. Relators, they agree too much. Socializers, they talk too much. Let's go even further. Management 101 basically says there are four basic skills every good manager of people, whether it's a manager of people in a business, even a manager of people in your own household, you should have four basic strengths. Four basic functions of management. Here's the irony. Each style masters one of those four strengths better than any other style. For instance, with directors, their mastery is controlling people, situations, processes. Thinkers, it's planning. They're the great planners. Relators, it's organizing, getting things all set up, organized, in the right order. And socializers, it's motivating people, getting people off the dime, motivated to want to do things. So, if you were putting a team together, what styles would you put on that team? All four. All four. Here's the unfortunate thing. Many businesses tend to hire people in the likeness of other people who are in the company. And it's a problem. I even did that. I had myself, my marketing person, and my secretary, all three of us, same style, socializers. We had a great time. How do they listen? Each style listens differently. With directors, they're very purposeful. If you're talking about something that they're interested in, they are all ears. And when you stop talking about something of interest to them, they are out of there. They actually will get up and walk out. They'll do other things. Thinkers are very analytical. Well, wait a second. A little while ago, you said this. Now you're saying that. Which is it? Relators are very empathic. How does that feel? I can't believe that happened. And what did you do? They get as much or more emotional about issues as you do. And socializers, they're very fickle. You know, 1 second they're like this. No, get out of here! And then another minute they're like this. No, I'm listening. They're in and out, whether it's purposeful or not. What do they fear? This is important to understand, because this turns them off. Directors fear being taken advantage of. As soon as they feel that you are taking advantage of them, you are crossed off their list. That is it. You're done. Thinkers, criticizing their effort. They do not like criticism. Sudden changes for the relators. They don't like a lot of big sudden change. So what you have to do is break it up over a period of time. You know, a little bit each day. And socializers, they do not like rejection, especially social rejection or ostracism, not being considered part of the group, being, you know, pushed out of a group. They do not like that. That's big, big, big fears. How they set goals. This is crucial. And this is something that you should focus on, how each of these styles set goals. One more time, how many of you have children? This is important also, understanding if you have more than one child, knowing how to work through this with them, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how they set goals. Sometimes we ask our children to set goals, or we help them set goals by whose yardstick? Our own. We have to understand that they do things differently. So, with directors, they favor goals that are productive and inexpensive. And typically, directors favor a single overriding goal. They like to work on one goal. Let me achieve it, then I'll move on to another. They don't like a whole list of goals. One big one. Thinkers, they favor goals that promote growth, accuracy, quality. Relators, goals that open opportunities for everybody involved, not just for themselves. They like, you know, the whole group. Everybody has to be involved in the goal. And socializers, loosely defined goals. They don't want to be tied down, and they often change. I want to do that. How about that? No, that's better. That. How they make decisions. Now, this is crucial in selling, isn't it? Directors, decisive. What they want, give them 2 to 3 options with brief supporting analysis, and then who makes the decision? They do. Now, I realize that in selling, we have all of these different techniques of closing, etc., and one is called the assumptive close, where you are, or a forced choice close, where you're basically forcing the close or a decision on somebody. They'll kick you out. It will not work with them. I mean, a single closing technique will not work on all 4 styles, I will tell you that. They like options with analysis, and they make the decision. Thinkers, they're very analytical. Give me all of my options, not 2 or 3. If there's 5, if there's 7, I want all the options. And then I'm going to do an entire Ben Franklin balance sheet of pros and cons, analyze each one, and then the logic of the situation will dictate which is the best option. No emotion comes into this. It's pretty clear, black and white. Relators, collaborative. How many people are going to be affected by this decision? Well, let's get all of them here and find out how they feel about it. And let's make sure everybody's on the same page. And socializers are spontaneous. If it looks good, feels good, smells good, let's do it. But I will tell you this. You ever hear the saying that the easiest people to sell are salespeople? And one of the reasons is most salespeople, the majority of salespeople, are socializers. And it's not that salespeople are the easiest to sell. That actually is not accurate. Socializers are the easiest to sell. But here's the problem with socializers. They frequently buy before they're sold. Now let that sink in. They buy before they're sold. And when people buy before they're sold, what does it lead to? Buyer's remorse. Bringing things back, sending things back. Let's talk about compatibility. Which styles get along best and which styles have the most difficulty getting along? What would you think? I think everybody has different opinions here. All right, here's 2 quotes. I want you to finish them for me. Opposites. Birds of a feather. Which one is more accurate? All right, so we have 2 different opinions here. Both are accurate, but it depends on the situation. So let's talk about work, working on a task, a goal. Opposites attract. And why is that? At work, on a task, opposite styles get along best. And the reason is the strengths of one style compensate for the weaknesses of the other. So there's a balance. So what styles get along best? Thinker-relator, director-relator, socializer-relator. Do you see a pattern here? Everybody gets along with the relators. Everybody. Moderately compatible, thinkers with thinkers, relators with relators, socializers with thinkers, and the least compatible, 2 directors, because they're always butting heads with each other. They have their own goals and objectives, the ways they want to do things. Let's do it my way or the highway. Why would socializer be the lowest compatible group when it comes to work? Work. Come on. Hey, did you hear the one about? Style compatibility socially. Birds of a feather flock together. Like styles get along best in a social environment. So, notice, thinkers with thinkers, relators with relators, socializers with socializers. Wait a second. What's missing? Directors. They're still competing with each other, even socially. They don't even want to go out. I got work to do. But they're in the next group. Moderately compatible. And the least compatible, director, relator, socializer, thinker, are the diagonals. They have the least in common. All right, here's your pop quiz, ladies and gentlemen. I've taken you through a whole bunch of information, and I want to see how well you've assimilated it and how well you can project. So, what would you say is the ideal vehicle chosen by a socializer? Built for them. A convertible, a sports car, a Porsche, Ferrari, Maserati, Corvette. What color? Red. Absolutely. Ideal vehicle for a relator. A minivan. Yeah, you can bring the family. Come on, we got room. Thinkers. Volvo. Volvo. Safe. Built well. Quality. Reliable. Ideal vehicle for a director. Get out of my way or I'm going to go right over you. By the way, let's take it another step. Every style has a theme song, a song that captures the essence of who they are and how they go about doing what they do. What would you say is a theme song chosen by over 90% of all directors?
And did it my way.
Oh, they love this song. They sit up a little straighter, puff out a little. Yeah, my way or the highway.
I've had my fill.
But only 90% choose that song. The other 10% feel it's too weak. They want something a little stronger. Ideal song for a thinker. So I usually don't get one. When I do, it's usually, well, opera, jazz, classical. Classical's the key. Could you imagine a thinker on a bad day when all of their negatives come out? They question too much. They're more analytical. They're overly analytical. And they're called in to the local symphony. Symphony's losing money. So they call this analytical thinker in, who's a consultant. And they say to the analytical thinker, how could we make more money and make this symphony more profitable? So the thinker starts analyzing and over-analyzing.
I just completed this report. First of all, the orchestra seemed to be operating quite efficiently, but then on closer inspection, it became apparent that there was a lot of waste and inefficiency. The oboes, for example, were on stage throughout the entire piece, but they only played 10% of the time. The woodwinds frequently just repeated notes that had already been played. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. An obvious and clear duplication. Violins and violas, they could rarely even be heard above the din of the other instruments, and they could probably be done away with altogether. My calculations show that by getting rid of the unnecessary instruments and by cutting the running time of the piece by a third, substantial savings could be had not only in salaries, but in overhead expenses, lighting, heating, electricity, rental time for the auditorium, all sorts of things. The bottom line in this business is profit and loss, minimax, minimizing expenses and maximizing profits. If the symphony puts my study into effect, they'll have more people units seeing shorter music units, enjoying it more, it'll cost less, and their profits will be greater.
So proud. Ideal song for a relator. Feelings, right? You've got a friend. People. People who need people are the luckiest people in the whole world. But any song where they can put their arms around each other and sway back and forth, right? Kumbaya, right? Anything like that. Where are my relators? Relators, come on. Oh, they love that stuff. They love participation. And of course, of all four styles, nobody loves love songs more than the relators. So it just stands to reason that their favorite artist, or one of their favorite artists, would be... They get a little embarrassed. Then they lean over and say, you know, I really do like him. Ideal song for a socializer. How many want to dance right now? Yeah. Okay. Let us go into our last section here before break, and that is, how do you practice adaptability with each style? So let's talk about directors. With directors, key thing is making sure that you understand and support and reinforce their goals and objectives. Another thing is to keep the relationship businesslike. Don't get chummy with them. You know, get right to the point, bottom line it with them. What you want to do is provide, as I mentioned before, options with brief supporting analysis so that they can make a quick decision. And above all else, treat them rapidly. This is a crucial point. Now listen to this. One of the worst things you can do with a director is build up to the point. They do not want that. Whatever the key point is, you say it. Sales are down 32%. Here's why. And then they want you to hit them right between the eyes, and if they have other stuff that they need to know, whereas with thinkers, you do the exact opposite. You are building up with the points to the key. All right? So, how about thinkers? Some of the things to focus on with thinkers. Actions, not words. I'm from Missouri. Don't tell me, show me. They don't care about your opinion, other people's opinions. They want to see it in writing. Be systematic, exact, prepared. Right? Don't go in and try to wing it with them. You might get away with that with socializers, but you will definitely get slapped down when it comes to thinkers. Anytime you are presenting something to them, list the advantages as well as the obvious disadvantages. And I'll tell you why the obvious. I'm not saying to list out all the disadvantages, but certainly the obvious disadvantages. Because if they're obvious, do you think that the thinkers will find them? Yeah. And if they find them and you didn't tell them, that is, to them at least, a lie of omission. A lie of omission means you cannot be trusted. Kiss that sale goodbye. Provide proofs, guarantees, and put it in writing. They don't want your word. They want it in writing. And above all else, treat them precisely. Relators. Key thing, make sure you show personal interest and listen to them. Remember, they are the best listeners. They want reciprocity here. They want to see how well you listen to them. Give them time to trust you. They're not going to make a key decision. They're not going to buy something until they trust you. That's a key. Provide guarantees and personal assurances. Now, with thinkers, you've got to put it in writing. With relators, it's just your word. I'll tell you one thing that really, really works with relators. After a sale, even before the sale, you say to them, look, if anything goes wrong, I want you to know my company will stand behind the product, but more than my company, I stand behind the product. And pull out your business card, you give the business card. Here's my business card. Give it back to me for a second. Write down your personal home phone number. Here's my home phone number. Now, I want you, if you cannot get me at the office, if you cannot get what you need at my office, whether it's me or somebody else, I want you to call me at home. Anytime, day or night, you call me at home. 3 o'clock in the morning, call me at home. I am the one who's going to take care of you personally. Now, what would that do for relators? They're just going, whoa, whoa. Now, never, ever do that with directors. Because they will call you at 3 in the morning, just out of spite. Above all else, treat them friendly. Socializers. Key thing with socializers, support their ideas and dreams. Sometimes they are way out there, but don't criticize, shoot them down, say that's impossible, that's ridiculous. Summarize in writing. Who is to do what, when, where, how, and why. Do not just verbally agree to things, because a week later you'll say, I did my part, did you do yours? They say, do what? Now, I never said that. Use testimonials and incentives to positively affect their decisions. They love stories of triumph, other people using your product or service and having incredible results with it. But above all else, treat them dynamically. Let me summarize. One word per style. This you can take to the bank. If you just remember this word, it will double your adaptability. No matter what you're doing, whether it's sales, service, one-to-one communicating, it doesn't matter. If you're doing any of these activities with a relator, I'm asking you to treat them friendly, with warmth, with feeling, with sincerity. With thinkers, whatever you do, make sure you do it precisely and accurately. Here's a rule of thumb. Whenever you are dealing with thinkers, which tend to be one of the toughest, if not the toughest style to sell, here's how you will improve your results dramatically. Whatever you do, if you're doing it with a thinker, make sure it is well planned, well organized, and well documented. You do that, you got them. With directors, whatever you do it and get out. And if you're going to give them anything in writing, how many pages? One, that is it. Fit it on a single page. Socializers, whatever you do, make it an event. A little bit more playful, more verbal give and take. Now, let me tell you what we're going to do when we come back from break. When we come back from break, I'm going to talk about selling specifically. And how many of you, just one more time, are in the business of either getting or keeping customers? Can I see your hands? Getting and or keeping customers. You do not want to miss the second half because I have very specific tools on how to get and keep customers. I learned many years ago that there's a big difference between making a sale and making a customer. Now, I learned that on my first full-time sales job in 1966. It was a long time ago. I was working my way through college, figured the best way to earn money for tuition, etc., was to go out and sell. Now, not just sell, but sell on 100% commission door to door. Now, I did not have a good career counselor back then, so the product that I chose was a little unusual. I was selling cookware, pots and pans, door to door. Now, I know a lot of people complain about their products and the price being so high or competitors being lower priced. But put this into perspective. In 1966, I was selling a 10-piece set of cookware for $300. It gets worse. 4 of the pieces were lids. There were just 6 pots. But in my first 9 weeks, went out and sold over $11,000 worth of cookware, counting my commissions, sales contest winnings, bonus. I was making more than my father, more than most of my friends' parents. So by anybody's definition, I should have felt good, right? But something was wrong. Couldn't identify it back then, couldn't put my finger on it, but something wasn't right. Now, back then, we were taught when we went out and did our sales presentation to give a canned, memorized presentation, verbatim, word for word, couldn't deviate a word. We were taught, contrary to what was being taught back then, we were taught never ever ask for referrals immediately after you make the sale. Instead, we were taught as soon as you make the sale, get out before they change their mind. My target market, single women between the ages of 18 and 21 who were working full-time. And I was 19 at the time, and I was working on my double prospecting system, but that's a whole other story. But I think it was when I delivered the cookware and I asked for referrals. And the response that I got that gave me this feeling something wasn't right. So, what's your first name?
Dana.
Dana. It's my daughter's first name. Dana. All right, so Dana, let's make believe that I'm delivering the cookware. You don't have to say or do anything, but I'm delivering the cookware to Dana. This is exactly verbatim, even choreographed. You know, they had these little things, you know, what I'm supposed to do as I'm saying these words. So this is exactly what I did. And you tell me if something doesn't feel right or sound right. Dana, what I want you to do, go get your appointment book. You and I were going to sit down. We're going to go through it page by page. And you're going to give me the names of all your friends who you believe should take advantage of the same opportunity you yourself took. Now, notice how I asked. I did not ask, Dana, do you have a book? No. Nor did I ask, Dana, would you please get the book? No. This was Jersey. Dana, get the book. Let's sit down. Now, invariably, Dana, people like Dana, they'd look at me, and their first response would be, I can't get the book. I would say, what do you mean you can't get the book? You don't have a book? She'd say, yeah, I have a book, Tony. I know a lot of people. It's not that I can't get the book. I won't get the book. You won't get the book? What does that mean, you won't? She said, I won't get the book, Tony, because I don't want you to do to my friends what you did to me. Hey,